Hello aspirants, welcome back to SRIRAM's IAS channel. So friends, in today's discussion, let us try to discuss about one another important topic, that is with respect to women. So unlocking the potential of women with respect to science and innovation. So if we generally talk from the perspective of B.R. Ambedkar, so B.R. Ambedkar has once said that I measure the progress of the community by the degree of the progress which the women have achieved. Can you able to recollect that particular quote? And Hillary Clinton also once said that women are the largest reservoir of untapped talent in the world. So what they are trying to say? So they are trying to say that like if we could able to untap the potential that is there with respect to women, so we can able to just achieve the progress. So that's what the essence of both the quotes. So now, if you see from the perspective of this particular article or the topic, so we had a lot of potential with respect to the science innovation among the women. So now we have to untap it. So let's try to dwell more into the topic and let's try to discuss about what are the successful personalities or who are the successful personalities with respect to science, technology, engineering and medicine among women, and let's try to know what are the reasons for low participation and why it is rising in recent days. So let's try to know about that aspect. So first, let's try to look this particular aspect from the very historical point of view and from historical context onwards. So when we try to see historical contributions of women with respect to science and innovation, first and foremost, we should talk about two important women in the history. So one, it is nothing but Hypatia of Alexandria. So Hypatia of the Alexandria was one of the influential and one of the renowned women, so who was a mathematician and who was an astronomer. So we know about a lot of male astronomers and mathematicians like Aryabhatta, all those things. But before that, like we also should know about these kind of people like Hypatia. So Hypatia was a mathematician and an astronomer. So remember it. And then if you look from the chemist or chemical point of view, so Taputi was a chemist. So she was one another important influential woman that we have to recollect on this eve. So first of all, let us try to know why we are knowing about all these things and what was the context of this particular aspect. So when we look from the perspective of the context, so friends, recently on the eve of World's Daughters Day, so we have just got an article stating that like there is a rise in the concentration of women participation in science and innovation. So there was an article that has been published in Indian Express. So in that context, we are trying to understand these particular aspects. So now let's proceed further and let's try to have a glance of the inspirational personalities who have contributed to the science and innovation from modern times or modern science point of view, from world's perspective. So if you happen to see one of the contribution, so Mary Curie. So I hope you might have acquainted with the name Madame Curie. So can you able to recollect her contribution? So Mary Curie or Madame Curie, so she was a Nobel laureate in physics as well as chemistry, and she has got this credible achievement as she has done immense contributions with respect to radioactivity, and she discovered in fact the radioactivity. So this is one another important aspect. So that's one influential women personality that you can have. Then if you see from the perspective of other aspects, so you can see like for her contributions for discovery of the DNA structure, so there was another scholar, that is Rosalind Franklin. So Rosalind Franklin was one another influential woman that we have to remember. So she was a scientist. So then Qian-Shung Wu, so she contributed to nuclear physics. So she was also from the modern times. So that is one another important aspect you have to remember. Then Katherine Johnson. So Katherine Johnson was one another influential scientist, so who has done exclusive contributions from NASA. So NASA's mathematician, so who calculated the flight paths for the space missions. So NASA, I hope you all know that. So it's a very renowned institution in the realm of space technology. So Katherine Johnson was one such person who had contributed in developing space technology from NASA's perspective. So they were nothing but some of the pioneering women in modern science. So try to just understand this. So we are learning this because we need to know some of the women who have contributed from historical point of view to modern times with respect to science and innovation. So these were some references. So be it could be Hypatia, or be it could be Taputi, or be it could be all these modern science people. Apart from this, if you see from the perspective of India, so have a glance. So pioneering Indian women in science. So if you see from the perspective of India's perspective, so one thing from historical context point of view, so one woman who has broken the chains or the shackles of patriarchy was Kamala Shohani. So Kamala Shohani was one woman who has broken the shackles of the patriarchy, and in fact you can see her, Kamala Shohani. So she was a pioneering Indian biochemist and the first Indian woman to receive PhD in the scientific discipline. That means, so she has received the PhD in biochemistry. So that's one important aspect that you have to remember. So she has broken the barriers in the field of science and technology. So remember in 1930s, so when in 1930s, so it was full of restrictions. So women were not allowed even to go for education at the times. So think like she has got the PhD degree and doctorate. So that is one another important thing. So how we can just remember her contributions means she fought gender barriers. So she fought gender barriers to enter the Indian Institute of Sciences and successfully achieved success in that. So that's one important thing that you have to remember. So remember Kamala Shohani's contributions. So then if you see pioneering women scientists, so if you see from other perspective, you can see women like Janaki Ammal in botany. So they were pioneering, means like beginners. So Janaki Ammal, and then you can see Ashima Chatterjee. So she was another woman with respect to chemistry, and then Bibha Chaudhary in cosmic ray research. So this is another influential personality you have to remember. And then you can have Anna Mani. So she is another influential woman, so who has done extensive contributions in meteorology. So they were nothing but some of the pioneering women with respect to science. So starting from here, if we see, so when we dwell more with respect to women contributions, so you can see women who are at the forefront or frontiers of the science and technology in India in contemporary times. So currently, who are there contributing to science and technology. So if you see that particular aspect, so you can recollect two of the women. So one is Ritu Karidhal. So I hope you might have heard about the name of Ritu Karidhal. So she is a renowned scientist and she is a renowned contributor with respect to the space technology. So Ritu Karidhal and Vanita, so they were two influential scholars. They were associated with the ISRO. So they have played leadership in various missions, various space missions, like be it could be Mars orbiter mission, be it could be Chandrayaan 2 or other thing like Chandrayaan 3. In Chandrayaan 3 also, so women are contributing a lot. So Rita Karidhal and Vanita, you have to remember forever, because Rita Karidhal has contributed a lot. So I hope you can remember her. So in fact, for her contributions, so she is also known as Rocket Woman of India. So are you aware of that? So that's one another important aspect. So then, if you look from the perspective of the defense technology, so we have a Missile Women of India. Missile Women of India. So who is she? So she is none other than Tessie Thomas. So you might have heard about the name of Tessie Thomas. So Tessie Thomas earned the title Missile Women of India for her leadership in the missile development programs. So we have IZDMP, so Integrated Guided Missile Development Program, so which was a brainchild concept of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, in fact, who was also called as the Missile Man of India. Can you able to recollect that? So what Tessie Thomas has done, she has immensely contributed in developing the Agni series missile. So that's one another aspect that you have to remember. So Tessie Thomas, be it could be Ritu Karidal, they were the contemporary scholars or women who are associated with the science and technology. So space technology, defense technology, so that's how they have, that they are nothing but their fields. So now, let us look forward. So if you see from the perspective of the pioneer of the in vitro fertilization, so we have one another women, Dr. Indira Hinduja. So Indira Hinduja. So Indira Hinduja was one influential person who achieved India's first test tube baby birth in 1986. So Indira Hinduja has done immense contributions in the realm of fertility. So friends, in the wake of recent trends, that is, be it could be the advanced technology or be it could be the change in the lifestyles of the people, so fertility is becoming affected slowly. So I hope you are aware of that. So those who are not having the those who are having the issues of fertility, so they are moving towards some recent trends like IVF, in vitro fertilization. So Indira Hinduja was one such influential women, so who worked with respect to the medical sciences and medicine, and she brought the new invention, means like she was one of the influential women, so pioneering woman, so in the field of in vitro fertilization. So that is one thing. So what do you mean by in vitro fertilization? It's nothing but fertilization done outside the uterus. So simply to say, fertilization that is being done in the test tube, so outside artificially, like that. So then if you see from the perspective of biotechnology and genetic engineering, so in biotechnology and genetic engineering you can have Kiran Majumdar Shah. So you can see Kiran Majumdar Shah. So Kiran Majumdar Shah, actually she built Biocon. So she has transformed that Biocon into a global pharmaceutical company. So this is one another thing. So in the realm of pharmaceutical company also, women are excelling. So that is one thing. Then you can see Gagandeep Kang. So Gagandeep Kang was one another woman, so who became the first Indian woman elected for the Fellow of Royal Society for her contributions to the vaccine research. So Gagandeep Kang, you have to remember, for her vaccine research, and she is a renowned personality and scientist in that realm. So that is one thing. So like this, there were so many examples and there were so many inspirational personalities in contemporary times. So friends, on this note, let us also try to look some other influential women who are working in the engineering industry and leadership, because when we are talking from the perspective of science and innovation, participation of the women with respect to STEM fields. So what are STEM fields? So if you see from the perspective of STEM, science, technology, engineering and medicine. So these four fields together known as STEM, S-T-E-M, STEM fields. So nowadays their participation with respect to STEM fields has increased. So if you happen to see statistically, almost around 48% of the women are pursuing their graduation or pursuing their studies with respect to STEM fields, science, technology, education, engineering and medicine. So if we see from the perspective of the pioneering women who have done immensely with respect to engineering, industry and leadership, so we have to recollect one another great personality and inspirational person in the realm of engineering and social impact, that is Sudha Murthy. So you might have heard about Sudha Murthy. So she is one another inspirational personality in the field of IT. So what she has done, so she has broken the barriers as one of the first female engineers on the factory floor, and in fact she also later expanded the educational opportunity through Infosys Foundation. So she has established Infosys Foundation and she started imparting education to women through Infosys Foundation. So she's one of the influential engineer that we can remember. And then if you see leadership in artificial intelligence, AI. So now AI is trending, and with respect to artificial intelligence, you can remember Shalini Kapoor. So Shalini Kapoor, so whom you can see here. So Shalini Kapoor is one another influential woman and inspirational personality. So who became India's first women IBM fellow and exemplifying the women's leadership in artificial intelligence. So I hope you could able to catch. So remember the name of Shalini Kapoor with respect to the artificial intelligence. So friends, you have to remember some of the influential personalities and inspirational personalities because you have to substantiate your answers in the examination. So while you talk about defense technology, you should talk about Tessie Thomas. While you're talking about space technology, you have to talk about Ritu Karidhal. So like that, you have to have at least some names and examples for these inspirational personalities. So that's all. Then look at the other aspects. So in the realm of science and environmental activism, so we have to recollect the efforts and contributions of Vandana Shiva. So Vandana Shiva, so you can see here Vandana Shiva. So Vandana Shiva, like she was one influential woman and inspirational personality in the realm of environmental activism. So what she has done, she combined the scientific training with the environmental activism. So look how beautifully she is she's intermingling the disciplines. So then giving intellectual depth to the ecological movements. So that's how, so she has contributed in the realm of science and environmental activities. So that is Vandana Shiva. So then in industrial leadership and philanthropy, so this is also another important section where we have to see. So in that realm, we have Leela Poonawalla. So can you able to see Leela Poonawalla? So Leela Poonawalla, she was an industrialist and she is a philanthropist as well as she is a humanitarian. So we should remember about the contributions of Leela Poonawalla, and along with her, so Anu Aga. So Anu Aga, so both of them, they have demonstrated how women technocrats could successfully blend the industrial leadership with education and philanthropy. So being an industrialist is different, but being an industrialist and using that knowledge and using that resources for philanthropic activities, so that is another beautiful aspect. So being humans, we should be more humane in nature. So humanitarianism is one thing that we have to imbibe in all our activities. So that's, you have to remember Leela Poonawalla from philanthropy point of view. So these are nothing but some of the important women in engineering as well as industry and leadership. So I hope you are getting the things clearly. So now friends, let us try to understand some other important aspect, that is, till now we have understood who are the inspirational personalities from ancient time to modern times and from modern time to contemporary times. We have understood those influential personalities and examples we have saw. So apart from these, like you also can recollect some other influential women, like be it could be Kalpana Chawla, so be it could be, there are so many such people. So why and what contributed for this change, that, so why the contribution of women have slightly and slowly started rising with respect to science and innovation. So that's very, very important for us. So if you see from the perspective of that, so there are certain driving forces behind the change, that is shift, like lack of women participation in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering and medicine, to rise in the contribution of women with respect to the STEM fields, that is science and innovation as well as the STEM field. So what are the major driving forces? Let's try to have a glance of it also. So if you see from the perspective of that, so in recent times, first and foremost driving force was that there was plenty of availability of the pioneering role models and inspirational personalities. So try to just understand this carefully. So when there is an influential personality around you, or when there is an inspirational role model for you, so obviously you will try to inculcate and you will try to just take as an admiration, and you also try to do the same thing. So that's what has happened. So from 1930, when we can see when the aspects of women participating has started doing, so then there was visibility of successful female scientists and innovating scholars, and young generation inspirators were there. So with the such kind of visibility of more role models and inspirational personalities. So it has inspired the fellow young ladies and women and girls to perceive more into science and innovation and other fields. So that's one another driving force. So then if you see, there were a lot of government initiatives to boost the participation of women in the STEM fields. So there were so many such kind of programs. So you can see first thing, that is Vigyan Jyoti scheme. So Vigyan Jyoti scheme is one such scheme which is boosting the participation of women in the science. And then you can see the Wise Kiran scheme. So Kiran scheme is one another important scheme that is giving boost and thirst to women participation in the science and technology. Then gender advancement for transforming institutions. So that is Gati program. So Gati program is one another influential, one another important scheme that we have to program, that we have to recollect here. So be it could be Gati program, be it could be Wise Kiran scheme, be it could be the Vigyan Jyoti scheme. So all such kind of schemes are encouraging and they are boosting and they are just letting women to participate more in science, technology, engineering and medicine. So that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. Then if you see other thing, so there is a significant shift in the social attitudes and social perspectives. So what we have to understand was that, so traditionally if you see, there were shackles of patriarchy. So women's potential was being hidden and it was being covered under the, it has been tied with the shackles of the patriarchal restrictions. So recently what has happened, there was a shift in the societal attitude and there was a shift in the societal perspective that women also should participate in all the fields, so that what we can do, so we can just use and we can untap the hidden potential among women so that we can achieve the progress in all the realms. So that was one thing. So here if you see, so nowadays families are in fact, they are increasingly celebrating their daughters' achievements with respect to science and innovation. So this is giving a kind of encouragement for the younger generations. So that is one thing. So friends, then if you see other important driving force, so enhanced access to education. So this is very, very key and it was very, very important driving force. So when women or when the girl child got the access to education, so they have started getting awareness amongst themselves and they have started participation in the decision taking as well as decision making aspects. So then they have started entering into the advanced fields like science, technology, engineering and medicine. So you can see here, women now constitute nearly 48% of the higher education enrollment in India, and with increasing participation in STEM fields. So in STEM fields, women are having this rising contributions and concentration. So if you see 48% of the women enrollment can be seen in higher educational field. So that is one another important aspect that you have to remember from this. So they are all nothing but the driving forces that have brought change with respect to this particular concept. So now, if you see some of the reasons for the low participation in the STEM fields since the modern times. So if you look and if you try to introspect that, so there are certain reasons, there are certain factors that were pulling women back in the from the participation into STEM fields. So first, look at the first thing, that is, one thing is that there were stereotypical gender roles. So there was a stereotype that women has to be restricted to the kitchens or women has to be restricted to the household activities and men will be the breadwinners and men will go out and they will work and they will earn. So that was the stereotypic bias. So with that stereotypic bias, so with that kind of attitude, so women have restricted to the kitchen. So that was one thing that has happened. Now this gender bias or stereotypic gender bias aspect that's slowly getting cleared off. So this was one such factor. Then second thing, the glass ceiling effect. So I hope you might be aware of the concept of glass ceiling effect. So if a woman has to rise or climb in the ladder of hierarchy in a particular position, so usually, so the people in the topmost position, they won't allow the women to climb up, because they will think about something that, should we need to work under women? Like, how can a man work under women? So that was a stereotypic and patriarchal mindset. So with that kind of attitude, they won't allow women to just climb. So such an effect is basically known as glass ceiling effect. So that is one thing. And then if you see other thing, there is a leaky pipeline effect. So leaky pipeline effect. So what is this? So although the participation of women with respect to education in the STEM fields is around 48%, but do you know how much percentage of women are actually entering into the professions? It's only 18% here. It's only 18%. So that means you can understand that so many, more than 30% of the women educators are women who have perceived their education, they are not entering into the professional arena. So that's, we call it as the leaky pipeline effect. So there is a leaky pipeline. So women are not willing to participate, are willing to just proceed with their professional activities. There are so many reasons for that, so we are not going to enter into that, but there is a concept called as that leaky pipeline effect. So try to just keep these kind of terminology into your vocabulary bank. So now, there was inadequate support system. So traditionally and from modern times, if you see, inadequate support system, be it could be the support system from the family, be it could be support system from the government, be it could be support system amongst the society, was less with respect to women. So they were not encouraging women to just go for education. That was one of the important aspect. So then if you see, there is a kind of sexual as well as physical harassment at the workplace. So this is one another important factor that was discouraging women to participate in the work or professional activities. So that's how, why this leaky pipeline effect is there. So this is one another factor. So that was discouraging. And apart from all this, like patriarchal like attitudes in hierarchy, in hiring practices. So what patriarchal mindset or attitude is there means, so imagine this situation. So what generally happens in hiring process means, usually they will feel, if they are hiring a male person, so a male person can work continuously. But if you're hiring a female person or a woman into a job, so usually women will have to have a lot of responsibilities in her life. So when she goes to maternity, so during that time, women has to leave, or women has to take leave. So an employer will think that instead of losing or instead of having such kind of breaks, let us have a continuous person who can work continuously. So that's where they will shift to hiring males. So that is one thing. And other thing, if you see, so men usually like had a tendency of this patriarchal mindset. So not only in India, all across the world, so they used to prefer men. So for hiring purposes and for job purposes. So this was one another reason for the low participation of women in the STEM fields. So now we have broken all such kind of shackles, and now we have moved towards the progress, and we have, with respect to all such kind of these driving forces, we are just making good representation with respect to women in their participation. So that's two important aspects about this particular concept. So now, if you see from the perspective of way forward, so how we can further push the participation of women in STEM fields or science and innovation. So first and foremost thing what we have to do, we should strengthen the early STEM education for the girls. So science, technology, engineering and medicine, we should motivate them and we should give an early education to them. So that is one thing. Then Next thing what we have to do, we should ensure institutional support and equal opportunities. So this is very, very important aspect. So institutional support has to be given from the government side, as well as like equal opportunities has to be extended on par with the men. So that is one another important aspect. So then if you see, so we have to build a supporting ecosystem of learning. So supporting ecosystem of learning means, be it could be providing opportunities, so financial opportunities, social opportunities, or like we should extend the familial support. All those things will matter. So last but not the least, so when women rise in science and humanity rises with them. That means when women rise in the science, humanity rises with them. So when humanity rises with them, so humans or human beings can become more and more humane. So this is one of the reasons so why we should get women educated. So that's what I wanted to share with you for today. So friends, this is one important topic which can be asked from society perspective, which can also be asked from the role of women in the STEM fields. So in science and technology in paper 3, so this is from that perspective, this is one important topic for you, for your pre as well as mains. So that's all for the day from my side. So I'll meet you with another important discussion in another video. So till then, thank you, take care, bye bye, signing off.